Hey, good morning. Happy Friday to everyone out there joining us right from the start. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. DB, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club, where you could spend your weekend at some point, catch all the games, all the action, before Major League Baseball hits the All-Star break, starting on, a Sunday night would be the end of...
Yeah, because I think
Major
they're
League
off
Baseball.
Monday, Tuesday,
First half.
Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. That is true. The Home Run Derby is Monday, which that lineup for the
Or
Derby...
maybe Monday, Tuesday through Thursday. Are they off through Thursday?
I don't know for sure, but that Derby for the Derby lineup, I should say, for Monday's Home Run Derby, is it just me, or
It's
have the
through Thursday.
names just
Have they
gotten less exciting
Yeah.
because
it's kinda
people
like-
don't want to get hurt?
Yeah, it's kind of like the dunk
or
contest, you know.
yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of like spiraling the wrong direction right now. Not to say that, hey, Pete Alonso isn't still there, and there's some really good power hitters in the lineup, but it's not like we are seeing the top 8 home run hitters in baseball right now.
Mm.
It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to extend the invitation to you. You were in it last year. You're hitting pretty well this year. Like, let's throw you in as the 4 seed or the 3 seed or whatever. And I'm like, okay, to some degree, I can get behind it. Like, for you, you can at least root for Mookie Betts, right? But is Mookie Betts somebody you think of when you think of home run power?
Nope. And Mookie's quietly has gotten much older.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not like kind of star-studded. It's the dunk contest, right? It just people want the break. It's hard on your body. Excuse me, guys get hurt leading up to this deal. I mean,
we saw Corbin Carroll yesterday swing and hurt his shoulder again.
Yeah, and that one's going to be interesting. I think they kind of obviously need him in the lineup, but nobody is in weird shape as the Angels, because when your best 3 players are all out of the lineup, and who knows what happens.
I feel like that happens every year for them.
And who knows what happens with Ohtani's, because it's a blister.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps reoccurring, and may have to just shut him down for a second. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it's a big deal.
For the Angels.
Yeah. No, I meant just a blister, right?
The blister shouldn't be a big deal.
Couple of starts, but
right. I think Mackenzie Gore got pulled for a blister yesterday.
Those reoccurring ones, though,
I get a blister.
You get some new skin.
I get a blister every time I spray my weeds in the backyard because I have the little gun, but it was the one that already came attached to the jug of weed killer, and I always get a blister in the same spot. It's right here on my middle finger.
I can see it.
It's every time.
Yeah, and no coincidence either. The Angels have lost 7 out of 10. I think 3 in a row. But no, I mean, without some of the usual suspects, I don't really.
And it's expensive too. The tickets that are left for it, I believe, they're start at $375 or something like that.
Really?
For the Home Run Derby.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that.
Are you paying $375 to watch guys rake?
Are you sure? That seems high.
It does seem high. I'm double checking it right now, but that's what I believe I read yesterday.
That's what I believe I read. I don't have enough confidence.
I am excited to see, Adley Rushman hit though.
Yeah,
I've always liked him, but he's not a home run hitter again.
Oh, sweet.
I guess there are some good names in the mix.
I mean, you're not.
266 is the lowest I'm seeing right now.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's steep.
Fudge, that's tough.
Could you tell me who the 1 seed is in the Derby? I'm hoping you haven't seen the bracket.
I haven't.
And here's a hint. It's not Pete Alonso. And he plays in the American League.
No, I like getting these.
I can even go division for you if you want to narrow it down to 5.
Wow, it must be that difficult.
It's like, again, it's one of those names like, really? Like, he has been raking. He's been red hot in the month of June.
Okay, give it to me.
American League Central.
Oh, yuck. Ramirez.
No.
Who is it?
Luis Robert.
Oh, fudge. We'd have been here.
He's the 1 seed.
Yeah, we'd have been
So
here.
that's what we're dealing with this year. Luis Robert against Adley Rushman. Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez, which I guess open up with last year's, Derby finals. Mookie against Vladdy G. And Adolis Garcia against Randy Arozarena. Like, talk about a matchup to get excited about.
Yeah, fudge. That is kind of a snoozer.
Yeah.
That's okay. I just like to see him drink Gatorade Zeros in between each 37 swings. Have their son,
have their teammate
towel them down, and, get a little tired, come back and do it again.
It always seems like the Dominican players are having the most fun when they're out there too.
Well, I mean, for them, they come out of a culture where playing baseball is for show. Like it's an art form. You watch those guys in the World Baseball Classic, it's like, oh my gosh.
That's a good
They're
point.
actually having fun.
Nowadays, you can't have fun.
It's like this novel concept, right? So, nah, man. I mean, it's the 11th through the 13th, according to Shane. I think they'll be back on Thursday or Friday of next week, man. And you look at the standings, and it's like, I mean, you maybe want to be in the AL East. You certainly. I don't know why, like, when you look at 6 games for the Detroit Tigers being back, seems like a lot. But in that division, it seems like a lot. And it shouldn't because it's so mediocre.
Right.
But, I mean.
38 and 48, though, is then what you look at after seeing 6 games back, and you're like, man, how are you in third?
Unless you're the Braves, you're in cruise control. Or, I mean, the Braves are the only ones that are in cruise control.
Yeah, because everything else the Rays have dropped off.
Yeah, everything else seems kind of competitive.
Watch out for the Phillies now. 12 straight road wins for them.
Yeah, well, we heard what Phil Rogers said. That one surprised me. I said, let's pull the Braves out of it. Who's the next most complete team built for a run? And he said, and it was kind of like maybe he had been. He's like, well, it's got to be the Phillies, right? And I was like, I don't know. Is it? Doesn't
because
seem
most people
like
would
it.
say the Mets.
Well, they're built for it, but they're in a funk.
Yep. Yes, they are.
But it's not like Wheeler and Nola have been
outstanding,
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, even look at the Marlins. Alcantara's having one of the worst first halves of a former Cy Young winner.
And quietly, not quietly, because I feel like we talk about them a couple times a week. But I mean, they're at 51 wins.
That is insane to me.
Doesn't.
I mean, I challenge anybody out there to name me 3 guys not named Alcantara on the Marlins.
Although your guy,
Jazz Chisholm.
Oh yeah, you want to get back in. I want to get back into the Jazz Chisholm debate. Your guy is well under 400 now, so it's like,
Luis Arise, yeah.
So it's like, because what is he like? He's low 380s, maybe 35, 34.
That sounds right. It's because the Cardinals pitching is just so dominant. He couldn't.
Well, he was the only one that wasn't playing softball the other day either. I couldn't believe it. I was like, it should be go time.
Yeah, I think he went 0 for 5.
And
1 for 5 the other day.
And everybody else was swinging. But I mean, he's got to go 2 for 5 every night out just to give himself a chance.
What did you total him at? Average wise?
I said low 380s, 384, 385.
388. Nice work.
It's better than I thought. Though.
For somebody that doesn't watch
him
play every single night.
Yeah.
And he's gone down because SportsCenter has stopped with the tracker.
They heard you.
They were because they're like, oh yeah, we should probably.
They heard you. They're like, oh god, this Andrew
Rogers
Rogers guy is sick of hearing about Luis. Even though I didn't feel like it was being crammed down my.
Man, it was
my
every
mouth.
Single night. Hey, let's check in on Luis Arise as he steps up for his first plate appearance. Oh, he popped out to left, and he ended up going 2 for 4 on the day, and he's still rested above 400.
Yeah, that, and I think the question was compared to Wembanyama. It's easily Wembanyama. I didn't even.
Yeah, because I said, what narrative are you?
Yeah, I'm over Wemby already. Now I'm back into pop culture again with Britney's. No, it was a tap.
No, it was a grab.
I was a tap.
Now all of a sudden she came and approached with a British accent. Apparently,
I'm like, this is what we're on. So you listen. She's one of those people. This has nothing to do with nothing except we brought up Wembanyama, but she's one of those people. Like I couldn't stand forever. Like I'm like so overrated and just weird, and then I actually felt bad for her, like a couple of years ago, kind of going through the break episode, and well, I don't know if it was a break, just what not right, going through the issues with her dad, and I was like, man, I was like, her dad kind of did her bad. No, wait, is she capable? Well, was he looking at? Yeah, she's kind of old for you to want to be that. So I kind of felt bad. Nah, I don't like her again.
She's a train wreck.
It's just weird how I've gone through those stretches, because usually it takes a long time. But as I've gotten older, like I've come around on some people that I used to be all out on, LeBron,
Shane.
Shane I'm back out on.
It's a gunner.
A random boxer, Miguel Cotto. Didn't used to like him. Then I kind of like it. Then I liked him. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen very
Which
often.
is funny to me, because if Wembanyama is like a really good basketball player and ends up being like really good, you still probably won't change your mind about how all the beginning stuff went down.
Yeah, I'm just kind of over it. Although I wouldn't mind seeing Pop. I wouldn't mind seeing San Antonio do well.
Yeah, I like Pop.
Me too.
Open, transparent.
Nah, he
good
kind of drives me crazy with some of his takes, and I think his in-game shtick kind of gets a little old sometimes. Where he's just kind of crabby and terse. But since they haven't been very good, I've kind of haven't had to put up with it for a while. You know how he would just like have those hard in-game interviews?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of doing it on purpose. Hey,
personality thing though.
Yeah, he just.
I bet like Belichick is a little bit of that. Like
Belichick would never do an end game, but yeah, you're right.
Just
right, like his
serious
posts.
point of view.
I don't know what you guys say out there. Calculate the odds. And he's just going to call plays. I mean, and we'll try to get better at the quarterback spot next.
Hey, and you Bill? Look like Belichick too with your sleeves.
You're like, what, Bill? Mac Jones, and you got to be better in offense. Can't get any stop. Okay.
Hey, can I ask Bill a question? Bill, are you going to win 7 games this year?
No. It's a don't question.
Eric. Last year, I mean, we get into count and be the best we can. Try to be prepared, and the Jets and blah, blah, and we, It's like, what? Like, what did he say? I caught Bills. I think he said something about.
I heard something about Mac Jones.
Yeah, be the best we can. I don't know. What did you say? Hey. It's like, I don't know, those pressers. I imagine in that media market though, like those guys and gals got to go to those pressers. They know what they're getting. They like, here we go.
We're not getting anything today.
Here we go.
And if you do get something of significance, you'll throw the party of the year. You will. You'll jump up and cheer as you leave. You're going to smile. You know the story, but then 70 other people are writing the same story.
Unlike Nick Saban, the comp in his peer group in college sports has kind of gotten better behind the mic. Now he still says some nonsense, but he's somehow he kind of finds a way to whine. But he's like kind of funny and says a lot more, and he gives you a lot more.
I feel like we always pinpoint when he hops on the broadcast when they're not in the national championship game.
He does get a platform, doesn't he?
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here we go again.
Hey, what's
mad about this?
What's Nick have to say? What airtime is Nick getting? And it's just like, I don't know, but
how much do you think he gets paid for those?
I don't know, a lot. Alabama could not pay Saban, and he's $10 million a year or whatever. Just do the Aflac thing. You're good. I mean, Shaq said his NBA money is like on lock just because of the general commercial, his insurance commercials.
Go to the general, is in those.
Yeah.
And the icy hot ones for a while.
Yeah. He just is spending endorsement money. His NBA money is good.
I think I even heard an interview with him before because he's got kids, right?
Yeah. That's how Ocho Cinco is, too.
Right. Just about how he doesn't just hand money out to his kids.
Yeah.
Like he makes his kids work for everything.
That's Philip Arthur Harrison. His because his biological didn't bother is what he would tell you. But his stepdad was a military guy.
Got it. Yeah.
And Philip Arthur Harrison, he was very, very hard on young Shaquille. So Shaquille is kind of like that, even though he's silly.
Mm-hmm.
He's
you're teaching discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
In those formidable years.
That's crazy. Because I can't wait to, no matter how the season gets started. I was just looking at, to the point now where you're starting to look at returning starters. At least I am. Offensive line play, production. I went down the USC, UCLA rabbit hole in preparation for next year because quietly UCLA has been among the tops in the country in terms of rushing the football the last couple years.
Do you still envision UCLA trending upward the direction? I
think right now they're in a hold. I think the teams that I'm kind of interested in, because I was asking some of my guys in Ann Arbor and in the media, and this got me going, right? Because they swear in Ann Arbor that Michigan's D-line depth will by far and away be the best in the conference. Like could play X amount of players, and perhaps the best young defensive line that Harbaugh has had in his tenure across the front. But keep in mind that includes Hutch and Ojabo.
Mm-hmm.
You just had Maisie get drafted last year, but according to folks that follow Michigan, this front for them
is better than what they had,
and they're kind of young. Like they're gonna. I mean, it's like look out time. I'm like, man, at what point are we going to be very critical of what Day is doing? Because we looked, and I got a couple, but like Severe's one. Severe has never liked Randay.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just doesn't just thinks.
And I think that's a general consensus.
I think it is now that he's getting beat by Michigan. He still makes all the top lists,
and he still makes the college football playoff.
So, right? I mean, like we're very critical of a guy that wins in
and he recruits really well.
But do you know why? What's happening? It's what I worry about with SC and UCLA because when we're anointing them, they're not good along the D line anymore, and even the offensive line. I mean, he's getting guys drafted, but they're not dominant up front like they were.
They're really dominant at the skill positions.
They're good offensively, and we didn't go through that list on air, but I felt like, CBS came out with their Big Ten coaching list, and Coach Rule was ranked ahead of Coach Ferentz, which I thought was interesting. Coach Fleck holding it in at number, I think, 6. Mm-hmm. But how about Brett Bielema at 5 already for Illinois?
Well, and Luke Fickell at 3.
Yeah. I think Fickell's prowess, I think that's kind of earned. That I'm not as surprised by that. Because I think nationally, remember 2 years ago, he could have had any job in the country. We were surprised he took Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, asking those guys that around there now, it's perfect for his temperament, right? It doesn't.
The Big Ten, too.
Yeah, Wisconsin's culture, the state, like it's kind of who he is, blue collar, good natured, family guy kind of thing.
Right.
I was talking to Orlando Pace when we were up there because his son was up there. And I was asking him about because his son is from right around the corner from you. It was a good receiver Nebraska didn't get from Missouri.
This year?
Yeah.
Wingo?
They're same high school.
Westminster?
Yeah, Pace's kid plays with Ryan Wingo.
No, Slew.
Excuse me. Is it Slew?
Yeah.
He plays with Wingo. He's younger.
Who
I was
Nebraska going after from Westminster? John?
I can. Not sure, but listen.
Go ahead.
So just asking him, Fickle's this guy, and there's another Ohio State guy that's at Wisconsin that Fickle brought with him. And Pace was just telling me that he couldn't see Fick going back to Columbus after the interim stint. Like it just didn't fit him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? But it's just interesting because I'm reading through that list, and the one guy, well, there's two kind of, I don't know if Fickle scares me. Bielema does, though. And I've said this for about a year now, just because they were good at the second half of the season 2 years ago, and he hated his offensive line. Like he publicly was like, some of these guys shouldn't even be on scholarship. And quietly, they had a decent second half of the season. And then last year, they were pretty good. And I didn't expect their defense to come around. So, Bielema kind of, radars up.
Could I convince you, based on what I've heard from Illinois fans, that they'll be better this year than they were last year?
Man, defensively they were so good.
Mm-hmm. Now, offensively, I've heard,
but that D line is supposed to be better than they were a year ago. But how can you replace everybody in that secondary?
That'll be tough. I mean,
they were lights. That's
you don't have a fourth overall
team,
pick back there.
That's the only team that. I mean, Trey Palmer couldn't get open.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when is it Witherspoon? Yeah, Witherspoon back there.
I mean, he just couldn't.
Makes sense.
But that D line is supposed to be really, really good. That's why I've been calling that game a swing game. Can you? It's gonna be tough, right? I'm thinking, Nebraska's gonna be an underdog, but Illinois definitely has my attention. And they're recruiting in the area too.
I'll just have to. I don't know who's better. I mean, I was talking to my buddy in town who's a big Illinois fan. Is Luke Altmaier better than Tommy DeVito?
Yeah. And how much will that quarterback play? I mean, they run that quick game and that RPO stuff. Like, it's hard.
No,
he runs
Chase
that
Brown,
gap scheme offense.
They have good replacements.
They'll tote it.
Right.
I mean, they'll tote it. His offensive lines are always good.
It makes me think about yesterday's six-pack question. Who's going to have a better season, Nebraska or Wisconsin?
Yeah, I had to think more about that.
We'll take a break. More coffee and cream.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Welcome back, Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. 590 ESPN Radio here in Omaha. We are live on Twitter, live on YouTube, the Hurrdat Sports and Hail Varsity Radio YouTube pages. And we appreciate all of your interaction throughout the show, whether it's by giving us a call, 888-638-4876, or via the comments page on YouTube, which I have figured out, DB. And, I don't know if this just kind of happened, but I can comment now directly on StreamYard. Can you do that too?
I don't know. I mean, do you want me to? Like, are you going to learn me?
Yeah, you can too.
Like, I can just, and I can
if you go to your comment,
I can just say hi.
Yeah, switch that to that comments tab right there.
Did I say hi?
Yeah, it's gonna pop. It's gonna pop through. Oh, hit join the chat. Sorry, you did it in the people one.
Well, whatever. I mean,
oh no, we got to connect you to YouTube. But that's how you do it, just like that. So that's what Sasha was trying to tell us for the last 2 months, right there.
Yeah, it's too many words though. Like, you just got to do it. If you like, how many directions were in there? 1,000? Well, you just get, I'm all right.
Yeah,
Kinda?
we could do it during the break.
No, I might have done it.
Oh,
You want to see if I can say hi? I just said hi. Oh,
yeah,
I said hi
there
twice.
you are.
Hi.
Well,
hi.
so
Hi.
I was told that it says it twice because it's sending out to multiple platforms. So, like, you'll only see it once on the Hurrdat Sports stream comments,
We're
and
getting
then
into the too many
once
words
on the
thing.
Hail Varsity Radio comment section.
Pay grade.
Don't worry about the two.
Pay
Really, it
grade.
only goes out once.
Shane, do you understand?
Hey, I'm listening.
Yeah, Shane's
Amazing, Daniel. Oh, great. There goes the neighborhood. I'm going to go buy a radio.
Hey, he's
Yeah,
tough.
we made it.
He's tough, isn't he? Old easy.
Well, I called Kenny the Jet Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And
As in Benny.
yes, as in Benny.
Okay.
And he goes, I'll add that to one of my 100 nicknames.
Well, listen, you can't
Look, Steve saying hi. We're here.
At
We're here to stay.
At least Ken didn't self-gloss like Daniel, who calls themselves amazing.
That is true. That is true.
He totally self-glossed that.
And he calls himself the Amazing Daniel.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
just Amazing Daniel.
Wonder what you should have asked his wife, and she'd come and say, is he really that amazing? And she'd look at you and be like, probably not. No, not really, AR. He's not.
She's like, well, it depends on the activity.
I want to get
Music.
Oh, if he's playing his guitar. What?
It was, or driving, or
Gotta do it. Oh, I love the way he can. I love the way he can drive his motorbike. Woo-hoo. I want a cool rider. Wasn't that Shane? Was that Grease too? I know you'd know.
Lowrider?
Well, you know,
That's War.
The cool rider. They were dancing
War.
around. They were singing around in the diner. I want a cool.
I haven't seen past
rider.
one.
They were wearing
OG
those
Grease.
aluminum. I can remember him in an aluminum foil suit.
I've only seen it once, and that was like a long time ago.
I was like 10, maybe.
Yeah. I don't remember it.
Still getting bad haircuts then and all kind of things. Traumatized.
Yeah, you're cleaned up now, though.
Traumatized.
You have your own barber.
You should have seen my dress shoes for church. They were like bricks.
Growing up?
Yeah, they were like bricks with white stitching. They were so bad. They hurt. Yeah. It's weird the things you remember.
Well, isn't it funny how you always remember the bad things?
Yeah.
Because you never want that to happen again.
So it's funny you say that. I was talking with, again, my new bestie, Lupe, out in the neighborhood yesterday. I took the long way around because I needed to clear my thoughts. But Lupe and I were talking about the things that you could eat and get when we were kids that are expensive now. Because
Like
they're,
McDonald's.
dude,
35-cent meal to now a $14 meal.
no, but things like, and you probably didn't eat these, but like oxtails,
I don't even know what those are.
really, really expensive. Like I saw them at the supermercado the other day. I sent a picture to my mom, and they're
Yep,
only
never.
like 3 in the package. And they're like $16.70 for 3 oxtails. Used to be, and Lupe's funny because he's obviously he's a little more mature, just been around longer, and he's like, yeah, that's the part around the butcher shop. Butcher shops they used to throw away. I'm like, yeah, and now they've made like this comeback. I remember this isn't when I like neck bones, like bone marrow.
Okay.
People like render down tallow now and they sell it if you don't make your own. It's like expensive. This used to be the stuff they used to discard at the old packing plants because it was trash. Now it's like if you get it
Now it's a delicacy.
dude, if you get it in spray can form, it's like $14. And you're like, for fat?
Wow. Yeah, no, never had oxtail.
Order like bone marrow. And it's like, what? Not so recently. You may remember. Did you ever? I said this in front of his daughter yesterday. She looked at me like I called her a dirty word. I go, yeah, it's like, and recently stuff like tilapia. Tilapia 6-7 years. She's like, tilapia's a bottom feeder. I'm not eating that. I was like, dang, it's tilapia. And I'm I'm kind of a snob, right? Like I hate carp and I don't like catfish, and I call them bottom feeders, but so shrimp, and I eat the heck out of shrimp.
Well, and tilapia is like one of the cheaper.
It's not
fish,
really,
but one
kind of
out of fish.
Yeah.
Like if you're really scaling,
it
the
used
fish,
to be really cheap,
Well, that doesn't shock me
and now it's like, and then it got popular
because they're very thin, and I think they got popular because they were the cheap fish.
Yeah.
That when everyone's trying to eat healthy, they're like, I can buy tilapia instead of salmon because salmon's going to cost me another $4.
Somebody was allegedly having a sale on salmon, and I think it was, I don't know what the pounds is, here to here. It was, 6-7 inches wide. It was $36. I was like, that's not.
That doesn't strike me as sale.
I don't know if that's a sale. Like the little fillets they had for $6 a piece.
Well, okay.
So are we out of swimming upstream season? Because you do it every other day.
You said how much? $36. So
Yeah.
they're expecting us to get 6 fillets out of the big one or more.
You know what? Here we go on the Wembanyama incident. Britney Spears. Really, guys? Like, let's just hope it's Britney.
And he's playing today.
But I simply tapped him on the shoulder. Okay, cool. Next.
His
Anyway.
security guard then backhanded me in the face. Where was Britney's security guards?
Does she still need those?
Probably.
Is she back on tour?
it doesn't matter. She's still a celebrity,
She
right?
might be doing that like year-round thing with Madonna after she gets over her bacterial infection. She's getting ready to go on tour.
Yep.
Not that I'm a Madonna. I'm past being a Madonna guy. Actually, I never really was, but whatever. Yeah. I guess if I look at it like those steaks, maybe like fillets, could I get 6? But then the tail tapers.
I
It's
bet
kind
you
of
could
thin.
get more than 6 because why would you buy the so-called bulk when
I'm
I could
always
just go for
I'm always
convenience?
gonna buy bulk. You know what's on my TikTok feed since you asked? How to cut up top sirloin, like just getting the meat in its
entirety.
Yeah. No, I say never. I watch these guys just do it real fast and they get the picanha and all the different little cuts and because I'm on the chuck eye thing, and that's where the chuck eye is. And they like buy these hunks of meat and it's cheaper.
Well, yeah, because you're paying for them.
I'm always going
to
to take.
you.
Yep, I'm always going to take bulk. Buy watermelon whole, all that.
I will do that when I have kids. But
Not right
until
now.
then, I don't need the bulk.
Okay, Robbie. Robbie's double income, no kids. They're living their best life.
Sounds like a good man right now.
And I'd be like, this is the dumbest thing in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
That's what he thinks about what, Sam's or Kochka?
Oxtails are expensive.
Yesterday, Ashley and I.
God, I just got a StreamYard security alert. This place is like Fort Knoxy.
Ashley and I she was scrolling through Facebook and she saw that one of our favorite comedians is coming to Omaha.
The two of you?
Yep.
Okay.
And
that's cute. You like a comedian together. Who would
so
that be?
Matt Rife, young guy, got big on social media, especially during and after the pandemic.
Okay.
Really funny. And he warrants a good price ticket, right? But we saw that somebody couldn't go and they were selling their tickets for $90.
Pair or piece?
A piece. And I was looking at online ticket prices and they were like $270 a ticket. Like,
Where is he performing?
Funny Bone or Steelhouse or one of the two.
You got to take the walk up the stairs at the Funny Bone. Have you ever been to the Funny Bone?
Nope, never.
My barber. You'll like it.
I'll let that be the stage for this story, and when we come back, I'll finish. Because let me tell you, not just a hat rack, my friend.
All right, buddy. The old noodle was working.
Yeah, I saved us some money.
Nice.
That's what I'll preface.
Darren, stay right there.
We'll get back to you too, Darren. More CNC after the break.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Okay, before I get back into this story, I want to take a moment and tell you about Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's factory certified repairs, excellent customer service, and they've been serving the Omaha area since 1996. Don't worry, they put your safety as their number one priority for you. Again, 4 locations throughout the metro.
Yes.
1 in Papillion. They have one that is bright green that is right next or close to Paisan's Pizzeria.
Close to.
Where Matt Vrzal works. We will talk to him during today's show.
This dude
at the
made
end
me,
of the show.
he didn't make me, but suggested that I sweep his floor the other day. It was kind of annoying. I was in the back kitchen and there's flour on the floor and I tracked flour onto his carpet and he stopped and he pointed at it and he said, such and such just swept that for an hour. So he snatched the broom and he kind of cleaned it up and I felt guilty because it was still there and I swept it myself. He's such a nice man. Yeah.
Who, the guy initially sweeping?
Yeah. I don't even know. He did give me a box for my meat though, so it was cool.
See, it's as much as you guys go at it a little bit, butt heads, it always ends up with a bro hug.
That was kind of the first one in a while. It's been a little contentious.
Hey, it may not happen immediately, but it happens or it ends with a bro hug. And Ashley gave me a little bro hug yesterday after I saved us from getting scammed.
It was just too good to be true.
It was too good to be true. And I've been scammed before, so I'm always cautious.
Okay.
So this is what I kind of do. I don't just jump all in right away. I don't just see it and be like, I have to have it. Right? I got to assess the situation a little bit. So
you and MacGyver.
I saw that it was posted on this Facebook page, but nobody could leave a comment. And I'm like, Matt Rife's a big deal. Like, he's a big comedian. A lot of people like him right now. If somebody's selling these tickets for $90, like, other people have to be jumping on this too. But why wouldn't people be commenting like, hey, how do I get in contact with you? Like, no, you have to go to this person's page and message them. Kind of like red flag number 1, a little sneaky. No one else can see or comment like, hey, this is a scam or whatever. So I then was getting such a bad feeling in my gut. Like, I don't know. We're looking at her page. She doesn't have any mutual friends, but she's been followed by like 2.6K on her follower count. But then I'd go to Instagram to see if they were like there too.
All kind of
didn't have an Instagram. Well, they gave me a Venmo and the Venmo said like first last name of my husband or whatever. Like it wasn't even her Venmo.
Mhm.
And so I looked up on Venmo before I paid. No recent transactions, nothing, like no followers, no following. And I'm like, okay, red flag number 2. And then I was just like,
sounds like red flag number 2000.
right. And then I was just double checking my work. So I did it. I had Ashley look into it a little bit too. And I then got the email because they said, I said, hey, I think this is a scam. Like, let's not do this. And they said, well, I already sent you one ticket because I figured you got worried. And I looked in my email and I didn't have an email. And the email that I provided, and I looked in Ticketmaster to see if they shared it with me, didn't have an email. But all of a sudden, an email pops through like 2 seconds later. Like, okay, if you had already sent the email past tense, it would have been in my inbox. It wouldn't have just shown up. And then I was clicking at different things on the email, and there were photos of the ticket. They weren't like,
ticket.
hey, accept the ticket, go to your Ticketmaster page. And I'm like, whew, right? Like we could have been out $180 just like that.
People, it's wild out here. Guy, did I read it somewhere about guy had an old rug doctor like vacuum, and just had to come pick it up. They were moving, but it was at some warehouse behind a gate, and it was the lady that had the ad. But when they called the number, a dude answered, said it was the husband, and gave the location. Come behind the black iron gate, and the dude was like, nah, can you walk this out? And the guy's like, no, bring it out. And he asked him twice, and then he kept trying to call him like, hey, are you coming? And the guy that was selling it, like, it kept sending the voicemail, like, wouldn't answer anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Come on.
I'm not doing that. I'm not. You guys can enjoy that.
Yeah, that's why I said, hey, I'm going to go to a reputable source. If we really want to go, we can spend this money, but we don't want to go that bad. Like, I'll keep looking at clips on TikTok and Instagram for free if I don't have to pay $270.
Well, apparently David was like, he's the real deal.
He is, and he is quick.
Yeah,
like I love people that can snap back really fast. That's Matt Rife.
Okay,
I should show you a clip
for
or
two. He can sit though.
Sure.
Hey, sometimes you got to pay big money, right? We've seen all these max contracts.
I gotta go get
NBA.
groceries. Oh, I know.
LaMelo just signed his.
Dude, that's
people are getting paid.
Good to be in the NBA.
Yeah, good if you're everybody not named Damian Lillard right now.
I don't know what the holdup is, but listen, if I'm Portland, I'm not in. I got built for the long haul. Take your time.
Well, and what they need to realize too is Kevin Durant just didn't get traded in July. Like sometimes you have to go through the season and say, hey, I can get more once the trade deadline approaches. When there's a team that's making a playoff push and they're like, I'm a Damian Lillard away, that's who you take advantage of.
Be interesting.
Let's go to the phone, Shane, and talk to Darren. Darren, thanks for hanging around with us. Welcome to the show. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, Andrew, DB.
Darren, what's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. Just called to give a shout out, man. My daughter's volleyball team, River City Juniors 13 Navy, man. They won nationals in Orlando the other week, man.
That's awesome.
Look at you.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
How competitive was it?
Oh, it was very competitive. It was 190 teams, and they were the last team standing. They went 28-1 in matches. They played a total of 14 matches and 28-1 in sets. It was
Man, that's not easy.
Oh, Coach All. So that's the article that Mike Patterson just had out.
Yes.
Well, hey, well done, D, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Yeah, hey, I seen Mike at the West Side camp the other week.
How was he?
Oh, it was good. He pulled Darren to the side. They were about to do one-on-one drills, and Darren was gonna go with one of his buddies. He know his grade, and Micah pulled him back. He said, "No, you about to get this work."
Sounds like Micah.
Hey, you've seen him forever since he's been a little. Can you believe his Like his mind, like could he be more opposite than his brother?
Oh yeah, he's way way more locked in. It's gonna be crazy when he gets in high school. It's gonna be real interesting.
Yeah, I hope you're right. That's a good call about the locked in thing. He is bound and determined.
Yeah, he's always saying that Georgia's his dream school. So
Georgia, what is?
Oh, maybe that's top secret information.
Georgia,
TV's like news to me.
Weird. My own.
He told me that a while back.
Yeah. You like the
What
way
was that 2 weeks ago?
You like the way that? No, I mean, he's seen Micah since little. You like the way his game is coming along, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, they were pushing each other. They definitely were pushing each other.
All right, well, give little Musclehead my best.
I will.
All right,
Darren, thanks for the call, man.
His son. He's long and thin, but he's just like ripped. So since he's been little, I just call him little Musclehead. He just smiles. I didn't know she was playing for them. Volleyball is tough in this state.
Think John Cook was keeping a close eye on that team?
Man, I wonder where he's been. So they were in Orlando. Huh. Interesting. I asked Mike about his workout yesterday. He was with my St. Louis Jordan.
Oh,
out at the gym, and I said, "Hey, how did we do?" He called me like 5:15, and he's like, "Man, it's kind of tough." He's like, "I just stay with it though. I can't be letting these guys push me around until I hit my growth spurt." I was like, "All right."
How tall is Caleb?
Can't remember what. Yeah, he's like 71 and 3/4. He's 5'11" and 3/4.
Okay, so is Micah supposed to be as tall, taller?
I don't know. I mean, he has his knees hurt all the time now.
Would he get his height from mom or dad?
Mom.
Okay.
Mom. Although, her dad wasn't a big guy, but Tanya's tall for a girl, I think.
Okay. So did you ever when they were growing up, is he in this percentile for?
Yeah, but he didn't really start liking sport. He's a prime example of why you don't panic over kids. I thought this dude was going to be building Legos and looking through telescopes his whole life. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, he just, a
lot of those guys turned out to be very successful.
All he does is work. He's more from a basketball standpoint. Significantly may be too strong of a word, but he doesn't have Caleb's competitiveness, but his toughness, but he's more skilled. He's significantly more skilled.
That's kudos to you and kudos to Caleb, because Micah sees how to be successful, and so he's going to do those things, because if he doesn't, he'd be out of the ordinary with you and Caleb.
Micah called his brother yesterday to let him know that a guy that's being highly recruited around the country had a triple-double with 38 points and 12 blocks, and Caleb's got to see those guys in South Carolina. That's the kind of stuff Micah does.
Yeah, Micah is aware.
Yeah.
If we talk about
why would you call and tell your brother, Caleb's the last person that cares.
That's him, though. That's their relationship.
They're different.
Mike Schaefer up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
DB, have you participated in the grids yet? Like
No,
everybody shares them on Twitter and other
Yeah,
forms
like
of social
the
media.
2023 version of Wordle.
Well, if you go on Twitter, do you ever notice how it says sensitive content? And you have to like click, hey, I want to see it, and it just ends up being the grid. Like, what about the grid is sensitive?
That I know what it's about, right? Because it started during the College World Series, but it seems like something I would like, right? Like, trivia.
It's a challenge
in figuring that kind of stuff out, but I'm not much for. I don't play a lot of phone games. I play the same one, and it's fake. It's the WSOP.
That is
card
World
one.
Series of Poker for those.
Yeah,
that don't
and
know.
it's. But I've never been a Wordle guy. I played one with my oldest sister. This is probably about 3 years ago. Maybe it's during the pandemic. But I mean, she's an editor, right? So it's like, this isn't fun.
because she's
just
got a leg up.
She just has her vocabulary is like, she makes me sound pretty slow. I almost said something. I don't know if it's PC, but I always give myself a pass because I'm a special ed major, but I still don't think that would have been very kind. Yeah, it makes me seem not very bright. So I don't get into the games like that. And I certainly wouldn't be a guy that posts, like, I wouldn't post my scores.
I started doing that with Wordle, and then I stopped once I saw everybody else do it. And I'm like, I don't need to be a part of this group.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I went through like about a 2-week stretch. I played it with I always talk about Milliken. Like his his wife was good at that kind of stuff. But that, I mean, nothing crazy. Like, I'm just not a phone guy, like a phone game guy.
I wonder if Mike Schaefer is. Shane, let's bring in Schaefer now.
I like how Shane says he's here. All I hear is we're still waiting on Schaefer.
He gave me a thumbs up.
Because he assumes we're looking at him?
Nebraska football and recruiting for 24/7 Sports at Mike J. Schaefer on Twitter.
Mike is here.
Thanks, Shane. Always on delay.
Shane is always on top of it.
Is something, Schaefer? It's just like, what are we doing?
Schaefer,
what are we even doing?
Are you a grid guy? Like, are you a Wordle guy? Are you now a new thread guy? Are you any of these things?
So when Wordle first was like kind of blowing up, I played it for a while. And then I got a new phone and I lost whatever streak I had going with it. So I was like, all right, that's it. No more Wordle. So I've never played it again.
Retired with your
and then I got introduced to Immaculate Grid probably about 2.5-3 weeks ago. And that
was it Happer for you too?
No, I actually reached out to Happer about it, and he had just heard about it the day before too. So we're basically like right around the same time period. It's like the perfect game for me because I love randomly thinking about Major League Baseball players of all sorts of eras. I like the challenge of trying to find the right guy on the right team in the right season. I was unbelievably mad the other day. This actually sounds very much like a me story. I was unbelievably mad the other day because Rick Sutcliffe didn't get credit for a 20-win season because 16 of them came with the Cubs and 4 of them came with Cleveland in like 1984. And so I didn't get credit for it. And I was like, all right, who do I have to email? What's happening here? And then I realized I was taking it slightly too serious at that point. But no, if you were wondering, I went 9 out of 9 again today. Today was super easy.
Yeah, so you came up this weekend. Was actually good. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I talked to him twice in 2 days, and so shame on me. But apparently he's from Columbus, and we were just talking about football and older gentleman, super kind, and he put you and Sip in the same category in terms of guys that he enjoys. And I think it's a Columbus thing because that's where he's from originally, but was very specific about why he likes you guys. So I felt like I was like, oh, if I remember, which is gonna be a task. I'm gonna tell Schaefer when I see him.
It all goes back to that Candy Beecher teaching for newspaper. We had the same newspaper teacher. She had Dirk Chatelain too. There was 3 of us. Dirk's
what's interesting? He didn't bring Dirk up.
That's
and it's crazy because Dirk may be the most distinguished.
Yeah, well, I think it might be because Dirk is probably a little less daily Nebraska football, so you don't think about him in the same way. But if you're going to be like, okay, which guy has written the single best piece? With all the respect in the world to Steve, I don't know that he touches Dirk. I know I don't. So, it's a different category.
I wanted to talk to Dirk a couple of 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "You don't want to talk to me." And I was like, "Yeah, I do."
I want the Winnebago basketball book that he promised me like 5 years ago. That's what I want. He's got nothing better to do right now.
Your
Give
memory.
me the Resball book.
Don't slight Mike J. Like your memory, it's unbelievable what you won't forget.
I mean, I'll forget where my car keys are. I'll forget that 3rd item on the grocery list because I'm too stupid to take a picture of it, and I think I'm smart enough to remember all of it. But I won't forget that Kevin Foster played for the Cubs in the early 90s. Those are the important things in life.
That is true.
Hey, I gotta ask you because there's a couple pieces on him, Channel 7, and he's Andrew's favorite if I'm going to talk man crush. But when's the last time you remember a back having the kind of build and stature that Gabe Ervin does? I won't even get into how he's still trying to work his way into the accolades, that has this much buzz surrounding him coming into a season. It seems kind of new for me.
I have a theory.
Okay.
It's not even really my own theory. I feel like it's just a continuation of everyone else who says something similar. Nebraska fans absolutely love running backs. Like, I was just talking with BC on our podcast yesterday, and he's waxing poetic about Ken Clark. And it reminds me of just being,
Ken Clark may be the closest to that build, though. Everybody.
It reminds me of being like 7 or 8 years old, and you're first really kind of getting into football. And like the running back thing is the most obvious, easy thing to follow because it's just a guy being handed a football and then he's doing a lot of the work right there on the television. So I just feel like with Nebraska's rich history at running back and the sort of up and down, really uneven to almost bad running back production they've had for the last decade, fans are looking for anything to just like grab and hold on to that is like a steady running back. And I still need to see it for Gabe Ervin. I think that he is, I love his personality. I think that he's an incredibly hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see it on the field. Like, I'm not sure he's the guy in that room. Like, I don't know. So for me, like, I understand he's an off-season champion and what he looks like. I understand that he works incredibly hard. I'm just not ready to go there and be like, he's the number one running back without question, because there's a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I feel like this running back position alone, Kawan Lacey's a nice get, but that's one of these positions where Nebraska's really sort of getting back to playing winning football. I think having a strong stable of running backs is going to be a big part of it under Matt Rule.
Schaefer, I don't even know if I'm like fawning over his size, more his mental growth.
Oh, this is a guy that went to one of the best high school programs, in the country, certainly one of the best in Georgia. And he has a mindset of someone, and I remember this when he was a freshman. He has a mindset of someone much older than what his actual years on this earth are. And he is someone who comes from a winning program. So his expectations are high. His expectations for himself are high. And I definitely understand, just talking with him, why he gives off the vibes that he often does. I just need to see it on the field. Like, that's just where I'm at with it.
Schaefer, so I was saying this yesterday on social media, having a conversation with a couple guys, and we were talking about the class and recruiting, and I said something to the effect of, because we were talking about numbers, right, and where Nebraska is going to be, and I said, I think it's been so toxic with the lack of development that even though Rule kind of has a proven track record, we're like you though. We're in the we're in like the prove it mode. But how quickly, Mike, are we going to have to get away from how we see a guy and how we can kind of plug and play, and just learn to have faith that they'll figure out where players are supposed to go? Because I was telling Andrew yesterday, Bo tried this and it didn't really work because we couldn't peg where these, and I gave Afalava and Thomas Brown as examples. We just couldn't like figure out where they were supposed to go in this defense. So we didn't think they were good at developing. And then he uttered the phrase that they needed more ready-made guys. How much of this, our skepticism or I don't know, it's just because it's been so toxic the past 15, 20 years?
Well, I mean, people want wins now, so nobody wants to hear about development players. And so that's I mean, honestly, that's part of it. Like, when you have as many losing seasons in a row as Nebraska has, people just want wins, and so they want the immediacy of it. So I think some of that is you have competing interests because the staff is here and they're looking at the long term, and a lot of the fan base is looking at the short term. And so, when you see some guys taken in the class where you're like, yeah, it's going to take 2 to 3 years, for some people, they're just going to push that guy out of their mind because it's hard to see where or how that's going to help for 2023. I think a lot of it is you got to see what the staff has done already. Like, you got to see how they're going to play in 2023 and where guys are going to be. If John Bullock is the player that Matt Rule believes him to be, then that's going to give people a lot of sort of enthusiasm for the next linebacker that, you know, comes from the safety spot that maybe was a little unheralded, because the staff has earned that trust to assume that they can continue to reach out and find those guys. I mean, one of the things on my message board yesterday, there was conversation about, like, are they taking just defensive backs, or are they taking specifically corners, or what are they taking? And so, you know, it's just people have a mindset of these labels are 100% accurate. And I think one of the easiest ways to get people to remember that it's just a label, it doesn't have to be, you know, definitive. Nebraska's best player might be Quentin Newsome. If you go look, he was rated as a safety. Everybody thought he was a safety. Yeah. Safety. Who might be a first-team all cornerback in the Big Ten? Quentin Newsome. Who thought that from the jump? Travis Fisher. Who wanted nothing to do with him as a corner? Everyone else. So, you know, it's always the eye of the beholder. And a lot of it is you have to allow these guys to actually get to the program that they're committed to, sign with them, and then get into the system and then figure out where they fit. Like, you know, we collectively have to have much more patience, and that's not anything new. But when everything is new and shiny and you want it to happen immediately, it's really hard to look at a guy and be like, well, in 3 years, he might be a linebacker, but maybe he'll help as a safety right now.
You know, it's interesting, too, because we've kind of seen snippets of it. Nate Gary, Luke Gifford, Isaac Gifford.
I would argue some of their best defensive players have gone on that track. I mean, you mentioned two of them right there, and Gifford and Gary, that had, you know, pretty strong careers by playing all over. JoJo Doman. I think
another good one.
Yeah.
He overcame a lot.
I like Isaac Gifford to be a potential breakout guy for them this year. I mean, I could see him having, you know, good run. So I just think everyone just wants that ready-made 6'4", 230, runs like the wind linebacker that you can just plug in and you can just tell he's a stud. That's really not how Baylor built anything under Matt Rule. And fans aren't going to get to that point until they have to see the work in progress, because it's easy to think of Baylor in 2019. It's a lot harder to think about Baylor in 2017 and 2018. And that more accurately reflects where this Nebraska program is at.
And it's crazy because AR's other man crush, Tony White, is one of those guys that talks. I said this yesterday to AR. I was like, you know, when he first came to Westside, he said he just needs three things. He wants the competitive toughness, he wants football IQ, and you have to be able to tackle. He didn't say anything about anything else other than those three things. And doesn't that seem so fitting in a hybrid, whether we put the numbers in the right order or not, 3-3-5 kind of thing, right? If you're everybody kind of has to be able to do a little bit of everything.
I think those are three pretty easy asks too.
Yeah.
Like pretty basic ones.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, maybe that's a better word.
Simple, maybe not easy.
You know, Tony White comes from that Rocky Long model where you're just trying to grab athletes and then you're going to see sort of where they fit in. We had a really good conversation in March where I was talking to him about sort of his prowess as a recruiter out on the West Coast. And then we started discussing some of his like success stories. And a lot of the ones he wanted to talk about are guys where he just knew that they were really good athletes in high school. Like he could watch a guy play wide receiver and figure out how he could play cornerback for him, sticks him in at cornerback after an injury, and that kid goes on to be all Mountain West and playing in the NFL. You know, I don't have the name off the top of my head, but like those are the sort of things he's not looking at these guys when he's evaluating and looking at, oh, he's a high school linebacker, so he must be a college linebacker. That's just not what they're doing. I mean, they're projecting well out in advance, and they're doing it with the model that they have an understanding of what they think Corey Campbell can do too. I mean, he's a big piece in all of this. Like,
he's for all intents and purposes, he seems pretty amazing. Like he's a guy like I could just, and you know me, I say this with all sincerity, like I could just hang out with.
Are there guys that you can't hang out with, Damon? You're very versatile.
Yeah, there's several of those. There's several of those people. I'm kind of picky, Mike J. Nudge, nudge.
I've never understood this about you. It always has been, with open arms. Yeah, it's just kind of like Nickelback's your favorite, Creed's your second. Arms wide open.
There he goes.
That's how you've always received it.
We almost made it a one full segment without Schaefer
without
taking a
snark.
shot. Yeah, almost.
Schaefer. So the first step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. And we kind of got into this a little bit last week and touched on it briefly again this week on how much it rings true with winning the turnover margin or one-score outcomes. Do you think those are two of the biggest points of emphasis for Rule heading into next season, or would you expand that question and add a few more to it?
So are we talking about statistics that are quantifiable?
Yes.
Okay. So I definitely think turnover margin is going to be a big thing. And it's going to be with every coach. And certainly he was already discussing it last spring, talking about some of the fumble issues that they had going on. They had fumble issues in the spring game. Those are going to be things that, drive any coach insane. So turnover margin is always up there. And then certainly that marries with if you can keep yours manageable, but you also have a very opportunistic defense. We always talk about it from the giveaway side of it. If Nebraska can be an effective takeaway team, suddenly we're talking about a different overall, feel about everything. So I think turnover margin is certainly a good one. One-score games, I don't know what NFL columnist got this drilled into my head, but it's apparently like a pretty fluky thing, or supposed to be a relatively fluky thing year in and year out. Now I say this with full knowledge that the Vikings, I think, won every one-score game except that playoff game.
Yep.
So I don't want this to be true, but it does seem to be a high element of luck and sort of just getting the ball last kind of situation. But I do think there is something to the idea of the mental attitude. Now, this would be the unquantifiable. I think Matt Rule, more than anything this year, wants to figure out who on his team is going to go out there and compete, who's going to go work, who's going to put their nose to it and just stick to it throughout the season, the ups and downs. I would imagine there is going to be a lot of psychoanalysis going on for Matt Rule, just based on the way that he talks, based on the way that he acts, based on what he asks from his program. That's hard to quantify. So I don't know where you would put that, but I think you're on the right path, certainly with the turnover margin. And then I think always the two big stats in the Big Ten, yards allowed, on the ground and yards gained on the ground. Those are two things that Nebraska has to improve upon from last year if they're going to win some more games.
Schaefer, let me give you another one because I think it's interesting. Nebraska's got to get off the field on third down.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one.
And people but it's not easy to talk about sometimes because I think it kind of gets lost. But I'll give you the top 11: Marshall, Georgia; Oklahoma State, Air Force; Minnesota; Iowa State, Ohio State; Illinois; Alabama; Iowa. Seems like a lot of those schools win a fair number of games without talking about anything else.
Yeah.
They get off the field on third down.
How much of that, so here's where my Big Ten antennas come up, though. How much of that is we're talking Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa are all facing bad offenses?
And Ohio State's in there, and we don't think of them as a great defense either.
We think of Ohio State as a team that got shredded by McCarthy the day after, Nebraska shredded Iowa. So
that is true.
That's kind of how everyone's perceiving Ohio State at the moment. Their last two games on the field, they gave up nearly 100 points, I think. Yep. Now, they played Michigan and Georgia, so that's no slouches. But, you're absolutely right. What is it? Max Olson from The Athletic tracks this all the time. Stop rate. That's a big stat, too, for the analytics people. And some of the best stop rate teams in the country are in the Big Ten. And a lot of Big Ten teams build through their defense. They basically build through the idea that if they can have a competent enough special teams and a good defense, that most of this conference can't survive against that. And the funny thing is, it's largely true, but it's because they mostly all build around defense. So when Illinois plays Iowa and Minnesota plays Iowa and Minnesota plays Illinois, you might have a 35-point total and nobody blinks an eye because it's all a defense team. It's a defensive game. Wisconsin used to be that way. And I am fascinated what it's going to look like with Luke Fickell, who we think of as a defensive guy, but he's coming out of that conference where defense wasn't a huge piece of it. And the type of players in the AAC are dramatically different than the Big Ten. Now, he's got the familiarity with the conference, but can he marry that with his offensive style of play and everything else? I mean,
he's got 4 linemen coming back.
So many questions.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something, Schaefer. If you're playing the long game, you taking Bielema or Fickell?
My entire understanding of the Big Ten is you don't bet against Brett Bielema. And honestly, yeah. I like what he's doing over at Illinois.
Me too.
I can't believe I'm saying this because I don't particularly like him. But he is a damn good coach. Mm-hmm. And he won at a situation where they had a veteran team and he's like, all right, this is how we have to do it. I think he gets his guys to show up and play hard. And nothing against Luke Fickell, I think would have been a great hire for Nebraska too. But I would bet on Brett Bielema right now. I mean, I honestly would.
Yeah.
I just feel better about what he's done in 2 years than the idea of changing the identity of Wisconsin and it just going flawlessly for Luke Fickell.
Recency bias, real quick, Schaefer. Would you take Harbaugh or Day if you're starting a program tomorrow?
I'd probably take Day. I wouldn't want to deal with Harbaugh day in and day out. And I'll give you the other reason why. College football is largely built on quarterbacks, and Ryan Day has earned every single bit of our trust with what he's done with quarterbacks. Like he can get quarterbacks ready to play in college football, and he can build stars. And so if I'm banking on something, I'm going to bank on that more than I am a guy that I don't know if he's going to have one foot out the door every single year that I'm trying to, build this program.
Schaefer, enjoy the weekend. We appreciate it. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
We'll take a break. More CNC next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
We're back, Coffee and Cream. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. It's raining, as DB said walking in. I hope it stays steady. Here you go.
It's going to rain.
There it
I
is.
know. I'm sure some of you people are weird. DirecTV, troubleshoot. Don't miss that.
Although the two
I don't-
TVs
I don't-
behind
I don't
us are
miss-
fine.
Don't miss that at all.
Oh, wait. Nope. That guy just pooped the bed.
I was listening to the news and folks in the crop reports and stuff not being on time and farmers having to kind of endure. I just want, I always say this about weather. I just want balance. I'm a 4 seasons guy. We need 4 seasons here. I just think it keeps things smoothly, going smoothly. So I know some people are like, oh, I like it hot. I just like, or whatever. Like, I just like balance because I don't want anything to get out of whack. I don't want to be paying an exorbitant amount for corn. Not, you know what I mean? Like groceries. We were talking about Mike earlier. I showed him the other day. He went grocery shop. We didn't go grocery shop. We just went to pick up. We needed milk. I got the bare minimum. We needed milk and paper plates. Right. So we were back in the milk and he didn't want to sit in the car, which is weird, but he said anyway. And I showed him one of the gallons of milk was $7.99. He talked about it all day. He literally talked about it all day. Now the milk that I didn't get the $7.99.
Was it branded? I'm assuming not like the store brand.
Yeah.
It was.
It was not. It was not Our Family after your type in discount whatever, which you can end up getting for like $1.69. Yeah. $7.99. He was mortified. I'm like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, this is
like it's
it's
tough.
not
out
just
here.
milk. It's not just milk.
It's $36 for salmon.
Okay, so after talking with Schaefer, listening to the conversation a lot about Wisconsin, we have some people in the comments that think Wisconsin's going to be just fine this year. Another Dylan says they're going to have growing pains this year, but they'll be fine long term. And it had me thinking back to our question yesterday of who will have a better year, Wisconsin or Nebraska. But I think that question needs to change. If I were to say this, DB, relative to last season's success in the win-loss column, who will have more success in year one? Is it Luke Fickell? Is it Matt Rule?
Nebraska won 4 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin won 6. That might be a little generous.
You know, I'll even go outside the Big Ten here. We'll throw in Deion Sanders into that mix.
No, I'm not in. I'm not in on Deion this year.
Okay.
I'm not in on Deion at all.
So let's pivot back to
It's hard for me to. Yeah, they won 7 last year. It's hard for me to bet against Deion in the long haul because he's just been a winner. Do you hear that rain? That sounds so
it's coming
pretty.
down hard.
Is pretty the right word? So, I don't know. Whatever.
Soothing. It is wet outside.
You've been dying to play that.
So let's stick with Wisconsin and Nebraska.
Well, if it's relative to last year, I would take Nebraska.
Because even if Nebraska
because their
wins,
room for growth is greater to go from 4. I mean, could Fickle go from 7 to 8? Sure.
Or even 7 to 9? Because
Dude,
if you're expecting Nebraska to win 6, you'd have to then make Wisconsin win 9.
So Wisconsin's got Buffalo. They go to Washington State. They got Georgia Southern. That's their non-con. I'm going to pencil them in for 3-0.
Okay.
Washington State's in some disarray. That game got away from them last year against Wisconsin. You got Purdue on the road. First-year coach. I'll give Wisconsin a win. You get Rutgers at home. The key right here is October 14th, where you have Iowa at Camp Randall. You go to Illinois. I mean, you get Ohio State at home. But then here's your closing stretch. Indiana and Bloomington, Northwestern and Madison, Nebraska and Madison. You go to Minnesota. I mean, to go from 7 to and I like their schedule. They have 7 home games. But to go from 7 to 9 in year 1, that would be flat out scary.
I will tell you though, their schedule favors them.
Oh, I know. That's what I said. That's the only, not the only. That's one of the main reasons I gave them the benefit yesterday, is because of their schedule. But I think improvement in the wins column. Am I more confident that Nebraska could go +2 from a year ago, or Wisconsin go +2?
You take Nebraska.
I'd probably take Nebraska.
And the reason for that too is, and we talk about it a lot, going from 7 to 9 is harder than going 4 to 6.
Yeah, and they have some similarities, right? I mean, I've alluded to this a handful of times before, but just the way Coach Rule talks about Coach Fickle,
and probably vice versa,
Fick as he called him. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I remember one of the things. And it was weird. I wonder if they called each other. I wouldn't put it past coaches because they usually know how others somehow they know how other schools feel about the same kid that they're recruiting. Because Coach Rules Nebraska's used it to their advantage to secure a couple of kids in this class, right? Kids think they're kind of pitting one school against the other. Nebraska's like, yeah, I don't really think that's like how you're telling me. Right, like I know that for 1,000% sure. Yeah,
get out of fantasy land.
Don't try to feed me that cockamamie stuff. But you know, Fick, like when we were up there, he's like, "Oh man, I'm surprised Coach Rule let you get on the interstate." And I kind of chuckled, and he's like, "No, actually, he would. Like he's the guy that likes to have his bases covered. I'm sure he wants you to have your bases covered." I just was like, how would you know? You know what I mean? Like that's his personality. But how did Coach Rule put it? I don't like to leave things to chance. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you in a good mood or what?
Yeah. You
After hearing that,
you in a good mood or what? Yeah, I am, Coach. But I think it's easier to go from 4 to 6 than it is 7 to 9.
Okay, now let's take Wisconsin out of this and put Iowa in. New quarterback, somebody with a lot
I'm a little
experience.
I'm a little concerned that Iowa's going to be good. I am. I know what they lost defensively,
and I also know
Van
that
Ness and Campbell
they're a little ticked off about how
Riley
last
Moss.
year ended up.
Yeah, and I just offensively, if Like now, I said this before and was dead wrong about Nebraska's offensive line 3 years ago at post-pandemic. I said by just time alone, you have to be better than you were a year ago. And they were not. But I'll go back to the well one more time with Iowa. Their offense, just by sheer ineptitude from a year ago, has to be better than a year ago, don't they?
It sure seems pretty easy to upgrade what was last year.
Yeah, last time I said that, though, like I said, was not super accurate. Should we try to grab him quick?
Shane, let's grab him quick because I'm sure he could.
I don't want to put him against the clock.
We could even go into the next with him, though.
Yeah, I don't want to put him against the clock. Let him. Let's get him out of the next break because we don't have a guest.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, let's let him go because I want to hear this.
Okay,
Shane, tell him to hold through the break. I want to.
If we can have a
I want to get him on the other end so I can hear what he has to say. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. We can do that.
I never know if Shane's producing or not. Shane, are you producing?
Well, yeah, but the phone's always complicated. I mean, it doesn't work very well to put somebody on the air, then put them on hold, put them on conference call, and then stream them in and do this and do that.
Here we go.
And, and then you just, it's compounded. And
that's why Shane
I feel like you make it a lot harder.
No, that's why Shane does what he wants to around the company because nobody else can do his job.
Yes, sir.
But is that because he makes it harder than it
no,
should be?
even
he makes it too complicated for us to
Cam
understand.
was like, man, there's a lot going on. But Cam would just say, screw it. Shane's going to try to figure it out.
I think Shane,
I don't have a
Shane,
choice. I have to figure it out.
Yep, and I have faith that you will.
I'm curious to see what's got him going, though, because he doesn't just break off a call unless he's not unless he thinks something
on his mind.
Something to the contrary. No, this will be good. We call that a tease. Mr. Severe 'L. Stay right there. Who makes up a spelling like that? Severee. Seviere? Is that what we're calling him this time?
It's Severee because Severino did not have a good game.
Like, what do we do? You talk about playing
Yesterday.
softball. Go ahead then, Baltimore. Come back, take a quick break.
Okay, we'll talk to Michael Severe after this break. Stick around. It's guaranteed something you don't want to miss. We'll be back in a few.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
And we're back, Coffee and Cream. Damon, Benning, Andrew Rogers. We teased Michael Severe. Let's get to him now, Shane, right away. Severe, good morning. What's on your mind, man?
Andrew, what is up, man? How have you been?
Hey, it's so good to hear from you.
Oh, Lord.
It's good to hear from you, too. You know, I like to have those kind of friends where you reach out to them and they get right back to you. That's the kind of friend I am. But, you know, not everybody's that way, Andrew. You got to watch out.
Wait a minute.
Are you throwing shade, potentially?
I just was talking to you and Asian Wyatt day before yesterday. What are you talking about?
I got a red text here from, 14:53 yesterday. One Damon Benning read the text. Did he call me back? Did he text me back?
Oh, to sign those balls. Yeah, whenever you. I don't even know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'll sign them.
Well, it's from the gala. We got all those balls, and
dude, I signed like 200.
There's like 30 left, and the only person that need to be signed is you and Darius Davis. I don't know how we're gonna get Darius Davis, but I know where you are. I can get hold of you.
So
I know I can find you.
All you need, Severe, just drop them off with me. I'll bring them into the show, and then I'll bring them back so that we work out this.
I almost came by.
You should.
I just roll by. I'm grocery shopping today, man.
All right, my man. What do we got?
I saved $42.61 on my baker's check today with my coupons. And you get $10 off today if you spend $75. And so I did that. I'll drop that off, then I run over to Hy-Vee and I'll work on my fuel points a little bit, get a little discount on them. And
what are the deals?
Oh, I have lots of deals, man. I can't even tell you. Like, for example, one of them is I got my 60-pack of eggs today for just $6.25.
What? So are you talking about the little gray double cartons, the big ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're large, and that's only 55 cents a dozen. Think about that. 55 cents a dozen.
So Severe, do you track this stuff? Like, where do you find this information?
Dude, he screenshots me.
So I have both apps right on my phone, and then you're sitting on a toilet or whatever else, and you just spend a little time going through the app, flip your coupons, you go through, you put your stuff in your little list, and then you're all set to go when you go to the grocery store. Or, and this is a baker's one because Hy-Vee's not as good at it. You just hit that, I'll pick it up, and you roll up there, park in spot 2, and they bring it right out, and you're out of the door. It's the best. Hey, I want to
go ahead. Go ahead.
The Huskers real quick.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know about Andrew because I don't know where Andrew went to high school or whatever, but I know DB went to Omaha Northwest. I went to De La Salle High School in New Orleans. I know we had great science teachers. You remember those days where you would come in and there'd be an experiment, and they'd be like, all right, we're going to mix a bunch of things together. And you'd be like, well, what does this thing do? And they'll be like, we don't really know what it does. It's explosive, but other than that, we don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I feel Nebraska's recruiting is. It's like, we really don't know. Hey, guys are explosive. What do you spot them? I don't know. That's about all I got. You seen them play football? Yeah, a little bit. One guy played on JV, and they're like, oh, that'll be fine. They're always isn't that a little scary? Aren't you worried about the magnesium just blowing up in your face? I'm a little nervous. You're a little nervous. You got a little nervous. Come on.
I mean, but I will say this: if you know that it's supposed to explode, and if the explosion is the outcome that you're looking for, that's okay then, right? Even if you're mixing around a bunch of different ingredients.
School afterwards. the school might burn down. They don't want to burn down the whole program.
Let me ask you something. What if they're better? What if they think they're better than we think? Could that be a thing? Or do we know more because we've seen more with this team than they do?
Here's the thing. They think they know better than not just us, than everyone. And when they're right, which I hope they are, we're talking 17 weeks of talking about them on Big Red Wrap Up. I want them to be good. So I'm like, I think they think they're better than everybody does. There's not a person in the country that feels not just for the guys that are on the team, but the guys they're recruiting. Because they're recruiting a bunch of guys who other people don't believe in, even people in their own state, but they believe in them. So they have a level of confidence. And part of it's all Matt Rule. You talk about him all the time. He's an infectious personality. He's
I talk about him all the time. That's awesome.
I buy this guy. You do. And it's good. No, it's not a bad thing.
Nice.
Man.
Well done, Shane.
Look, man. So like the example. The example is you have a girlfriend or a girl that you're dating, and all your friends are kind of like, are you sure, dude? You've messed up before with these dating. You're like, no, trust me, this is the one. I got all these different reasons. Wait a minute, you had the same reasons before. No, trust me. And that's kind of the feeling for a lot of Husker fans. But at the same time, he said everything. He's done everything right. He has this incredible confidence. I think he hired this incredibly confident group of assistant coaches, which is very important as well. So the players are going to buy in. If they come out of the gates quickly and win those first two games, heck, anything's possible. So I think they do believe that they are better in every way. They're recruiting, the players they have, that offensive line they talk about all the time. I agree. They do believe that they're better than most people do in the whole country.
All right, let me ask you this, because you were ahead of the curve a little bit on Wisconsin's, and I'm not saying it's closed, but like I had to sometimes talk you into Wisconsin, right? Would you take Bielema or Fickle now that Wisconsin's had a change in kind of strategy going forward?
Our friend Devin Stevens.
Hi, I'm Devin Stevens, real estate mogul.
Yeah, go ahead.
So our friend Devin Stevens sent me a DM the other day and said, if you were going to build a program kind of from scratch, who would you take, Bielema, Fickle, or Rule? And I said, if you're just going to base it off of just pure resume, you got to go Bielema, because he did it once in the Big Ten at Wisconsin, following a legend, and maintained. And then even though whatever happened at Arkansas, there are people at Arkansas will make all kinds of excuses about injuries and stuff. And now he's doing it at Illinois, which we all talk about being the sleeping giant, which hasn't really been a giant forever. So I'd have to take Bielema, right, and say he's proven that he'll build on the lines and he'll do the kind of things necessary. Now, Fickle is interesting because you can say everything you want, but he did it at Cincinnati. And until you do it in the Big Ten or you do it in a real conference, it's hard to really say that you can do it. So I hope he does well. I think starting overs, you were here, Damon. You remember what it felt like in 2004. It was weird. We go to the spring game, they do a bunch of shifts. The whole damn crowd cheers because they do shifts, So that's what's going to happen in Wisconsin. They're going from the barge where they're lining, 9 guys on the offensive line with a quarterback and a running back and running at you to kind of a spread system we saw at Cincinnati. It's going to be weird for them. And they're probably, I think, again, they're going to take a step back. Maybe they'll shock me, and they'll be better than I think. They still can run the ball with Brill and Allen. But I look at them and I say, that's a huge change in a program that expects one thing. And I could see them taking a step back. So I probably would take Bielema right now if you gave me one guy.
All right. And let me backpat you one more time, because you kind of weren't all in on the day hype originally like everybody else. I know you're laughing. You're like, oh, I told you. But he still wins a lot. They still win the CFB. But do you think he's trending in the wrong direction?
It's so weird how if you read the message board, the Ohio State stuff, and you see this at other places too, where if there's a little slip, what does he have, 8 losses? Is that right? It's 8 total losses?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 8 losses and was closer to being in the national championship than anybody other than one team, last year. So it's hard to say, but it is tough to just say, I'm going to take a guy who was nothing but a coordinator, which is important, on a team that had a coach that was so alpha. Urban controlled everything. And then you're like, okay, we're just going to give it to this guy who's never had experience being a head coach. And it's tough. And I think he's made some mistakes. But it all comes down to, you beat Michigan and everything will be forgiven. That's all you got to do. Turn it around. I don't know if
he's 45-6, but he's only 2-3 in bowl games.
Okay, so 6 losses. What's the winning percentage? It was like 80 points.
Yeah, that only helps.
Listen, 89%.
89% win. Okay, so anytime we say anything about him, you got to go, hey, look, he's doing this, and yes, he's losing to the best teams in the country, national championship teams. So that's why. But I still wonder if he won't end up being the coach before Urban. If he won't end up being a guy like Tressel, who, yes, had success, but there were times where you watch Tressel and you're like, oh, I don't know all the time if he's making great in-game decisions. And I think Day's issue is in-game decisions. I don't think that he has that ability that some coaches do to just change on the fly. He's got great talent, that's obvious, and he always finds a quarterback. But this year's going to be really interesting because they don't know who their quarterback is. The schedule's the schedule. I wonder, could they lose 3 games in a year? You imagine what happens to that fan base if they lose 3 games in 1 year.
Are you buying the McCarthy hype in Ann Arbor? Because if he's good, they may be lights out.
I think he's good enough. They're going to Blake Corum's healthy, right? And they'll be able to run the ball again.
And they got Edwards.
Edwards is a beast.
They'll be fine. Edwards as the second guy, or he could be the first guy on most teams in the Big Ten. I think they will be. I think McCarthy will be fine. He worries me because the Nebraska game. I always go back to the Nebraska game. Remember how horrible he was against Nebraska?
Oh, yeah.
The Nebraska defense wasn't lights out, and they just absolutely made him look bad.
It was
so
snowing.
He'll make that throw occasionally. Huh?
I said it was snowing. Weather did play an impact.
It was a little bit of an impact. Cold, dude.
Yeah, he had a hard time playing catch.
My boy Trev had on just a regular suit with no jacket. He was out there fine. He wasn't that cold. So I was standing right behind him as that game was winding down. He just scares me a little bit when I don't always know if I can be fully confident in him, but I think their team's good enough. I think they go 11-1, and I wouldn't be surprised again.
All right. Well, you never disappoint, man. Let me know where I need to be for those signatures, and I got you.
We're gonna figure that out.
What's that?
And you understand the NBA better than most. Can you explain to me how the Sixers are going to build an entire team with just centers? Can you figure that out for me real quick? Because I don't know if that works. It is 2023, 24.
I'll tell you what, Severe. Nothing's worked before. Nothing's worked before.
You want them to keep Maxey?
That'd be the only small guy they got. They got Reed, the center. They just signed another center. They got these centers, man. What are you doing? Half the centers.
Hey, they have to try something new.
Oh, man, always appreciate you. You got the hotline, man. Call whatever.
He's fantastic.
See you, Michael. Oh, Severe.
Isn't he funny?
There's a severe weather warning out right now, and he is raining on coffee and cream.
It is pouring.
It is. Hey, guys, let's be like dads for a second.
He's like,
who's going to say it first?
Why are they signing Harold?
Who's going to say it first?
What?
Well, we needed it.
Yeah, we did. Let's go.
When we come back, Mike Sautter next on the show.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
I would agree, Damon.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
He's the guy we talk to at 9 o'clock every single Friday. That is Mike Sautter. He's one of us, and he is pounding some yogurt at the hotel. Yep, we caught that.
Is that what he's eating?
We caught that.
He's all about
Are you on green screen right now?
No, this is my.
And no, it's not. I see your head glitching.
Hey, listen. So Caleb said the breakfast there is suspect.
I'm not at the same hotel that they are.
Oh, okay.
Hey, can you go over to that piano and tickle the ivories for me real fast?
You're in Bougieville.
There you go.
No, I'm actually in a worse hotel because never mind. I have to pay for myself.
Hey, so I just hung up with Micah, and he's telling me that Cooper Flagg's fresh off a triple-double down at the Peach Jam, and Diamatza, who's playing with the 17Us, the number one ranked sophomore in the country, is so good. Is the high-end talent in Rock Hill on the Adidas circuit comparable to the high-end talent in the EYBL?
Yeah, I think so. And I actually asked a handful of people yesterday. I was like, hey,
Did you pull Jeff Goodman to the side?
Yeah, I was like, not hearing a lot about Under Armour stuff, like what's going on. And they just said that it's not like, it's good for low major, guys like that. And Adidas is, I think EYBL is always going to be, probably the best, I would say, right?
Nike.
Yeah. But Adidas is right there. And there's a lot of high level guys. I mean, Darren Peterson, first time I saw him yesterday, and I was like, unbelievable. He was unbelievable. I don't know if Damon, you may remember Tracy Webster.
Oh, yeah.
Former assistant at Nebraska, and he's now a scout for the Dallas Mavericks. And I was talking to him a little bit, and I was like, this guy is really good. And he goes, yeah, he's a lottery pick, top 5 pick, and it probably isn't 5. And then another kind of thing on that is a very well-respected now assistant coach, former head coach, throughout the country, and a huge name. I won't use his name, but he said,
at what level? College, high school?
College. Yeah.
College.
Like a high major Division I assistant right now, won a lot of games as a head coach. He said that that Darren Peterson he's 16 years old, and he said that he is better than Kobe was at 16, and he's seen them both. And I'm like, okay, like this kid, he is special. And that's why I was like, okay, I'm pulling my camera out and get some clips of this dude. And luckily he just dunked it a couple times, and, they had a crazy meet me at the rim kind of block, not rim, but come from behind block that was
meet me at the rim.
Yeah, he's different. So from Wildcat, he plays for Wildcat Select out of Canton, Ohio. And his dad is Team Phenom out of Canton, Ohio. His dad's the coach.
Hey, so 17's tip. Knucklehead's already said good morning to me. How's ETG doing?
17.
Your opinion.
Yeah, 17's not great, right? Like they're not playing super great. They lost to Team Veritas yesterday, who again is like a replay. They were beating when they were in LA at the Magic Memorial. ETG 17s were beating them, the Team Veritas, by 22 in the second half and lost in overtime. Yesterday, we're winning by 13 twice at two different points in the game, which in this environment is a lot, and ended up losing. So now they play Team Rise, R-I-Z-E.
Yeah.
So, never heard of them. It's not, the highlight deal. But no Jacob Barope, I think, is really hurting the team.
Just for additional size?
Yeah, size, rebounding stuff. I will say Caleb has kind of stepped into that role a little bit, like trying to use his physicality. Jaden Jackson shot the ball extremely well yesterday in the first half.
And that alley-oop, too.
Yeah, first half. But then, what's today? Friday? Yeah.
Yes.
On Wednesday, Jaden didn't shoot it great at all. So, and guys around him need to make shots and make plays and stuff. It just, the size differential right now is really kind of affecting it. Hopefully, as it goes on, they could have 2 more games or they could have 3 more games. And it's just a matter of how you want to finish this thing out for the 17s. But 16s are playing well.
So, Sautter, how quickly did the tides turn in those games? If you are attributing size as kind of like the main factor to the damages that were caused in those games,
they have such severe.
Did it turn around in like 2 minutes?
Defensive lapses, though.
Is it like a 2-minute turnaround swing? Is it like a quarter swing? Like, how quickly do they cough it up?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I wouldn't say it's like a quarter swing. I'd say they just have, like Damon said, they can be super engaged and locked in, and then it's like, do like we're out here playing defense, and it just, and if shots aren't falling for them, they need to.
That's what they need to get over, though.
Yeah, they need to like get out of their head that like, oh, shots aren't falling, isn't going in for me today. Like, okay, then you can contribute other ways. So, yeah, I don't think it's like it can snowball pretty quick, to answer your question.
Got it. Before we move on to a little bit of football too, what kind of trio do you think Love, Bynum, and Amir Martin will be from a recruiting landscape?
Braden Freger.
Oh yeah, I forget he's in that group.
Yeah. I think pretty good. I will say this.
Let's call them the 4 horsemen with like buzz, because naturally they're already getting it.
Yeah, I did see where, national rankings have come out for that class, and the 2025 class, and Chuck Love's 53 and Amari's 90 through 2 or whatever it is, and Freger's nowhere to be found. I think that'll change for Freger. I think he'll end up popping up because the one thing he can really do is pass it extremely well. Like he really can. He's a really good passer when he's not a little frustrated. Mm-hmm. So if he's a little frustrated, he can kind of just head down and get some charges and stuff. But for me, and I said this all along, I've said it for over a year, Amari Bynum is the best prospect in the 2025 class in Nebraska. I've said that for a long time, and I firmly believe that. He's just a little bit of a unicorn. Like, he can do a lot of different things, and he's 6'9", is he 6'9"? Probably 6'9".
But yeah, I wouldn't think over it.
Yeah, he is just a pup. Like, when I say prospect, I don't mean right now today. I mean in 4 years from now, that kid is going to be a dude. And right now, Braden Freger is a dude. And right now, Chuck Love has all the physical makeup that you like with the length and the size, and his body's maturing now. So for me, I think Amari is going to be tremendous. Like a year from now, he will blow up if he stays healthy and everything tracks correctly. I think Amari's gonna he'll be like an Isaac Trout with national offers stuff, and I don't know if he gets to the level of a Hunter or Chucky type of guys, but he is way good. And I will say that this about Amir Martin, he is, no matter what gym he walks into, he's probably the best shooter in the gym. That doesn't matter. Age, size, don't care. Like, he can really, really shoot. He's got to get things cleaned up mentally right now. So that's his.
Just happy he made it to the airport.
Right. That's great. And then, he doesn't play the first half.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah. He doesn't play the first half of their first game because he made a choice when he was here to not go watch the 17.
You watch your other teams, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's not okay, right? So you gotta get through some of that's immaturity, but some of it is a difficult situation he's trying to deal with, I think. So, but yeah, Freger for me is super athletic, lefty. I mean, obviously can dunk the ball really hard and do all those things. Freger is going to be a very good high major contributor college basketball player. His regional offers are probably what they are, and they're Nebraska and Creighton and Iowa State and Iowa sniffing and all those other things. I think he kind of fits in a Big Ten kind of landscape, I guess, if you will, just as the way he plays. Because he's not super twitchy. But he is powerful and really athletic.
Sautter, transitioning to football here, stay with the 2025s, because I've been seeing a ton of videos surfacing with Christian Jones. And, I'm kind of curious, what type of treatment or attention do you think Christian Jones will receive in 2025 if you had to compare it to the attention that somebody in the 2024 class was receiving?
I think the attention is probably similar to a Carter Nelson nationally, I would say. But I will say this, Christian Jones, man, he camps really well. Looks like Tarzan.
Yeah.
I mean, he is
no, that's a quote from the
He's
side.
Yeah, listen, I
will say this too about him. From Damon, you coach him, right? So from my experience,
I'm with him all the time.
Yeah, from my experience, he is a fantastic human being.
Yeah, listen, I get the criticisms. I hear it all the time from coaches. They want to see what happens in the camp setting and correlate to football. All I'll say is, I'm not making excuses. I'm just going to shoot you straight. Same thing I tell every coach. A much more difficult scheme that he's playing in, going from the 4-3 at Burke to our 3-4 at Westside, and he's extremely young.
Yeah,
he just turned 16. He's 16 years old, not just turned, but he's 16 years old, right? I mean, conversely, Tyson Terry is in that same grade. He's a couple years older,
right?
But in the same grade. So CJ's young, and I think we're going to try to free him up a little bit to play as fast as those measurables happen in camp settings. Because I'll tell you, a year ago, he couldn't cover anybody. Right. And now what's he really good at in camp? He's very good in coverage. Like he's worked really, really hard, and he'll continue to do so.
He's also going to catch some touchdowns at tight end and stuff this year. So that
it's a lot of guys though, man. There's only one.
Yeah. Ball. How many? Hold on. Who's catching? Like everyone's like, oh, they got this guy and this guy and this guy. Like who? There's one football.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. And don't forget our QB can run it.
Right. Yeah, I know. Like so. To the crux of your question, back to CJ or Christian Jones, I think he's gonna be a kind of blow up type of guy. For me, I would like to see him on third down, rush the passer, get his hand in the dirt a little bit. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see him do that more because I think he could
be extremely creative.
I wonder if you can talk to the defensive coordinator about that.
I think he would be extremely dominant if he
so at the tail end of last year, we flipped him from the strong side to the weak side. And I mean, we got good ideas, right? I mean, Coach Queen and I, we've got some really good ideas, but I'm open to anything.
I do think he's primed for a pretty big recruitment jump, kind of like he could be a top 50 guy probably just based on camp stuff alone.
And marches to the beat of his own drum.
Right. Doesn't care.
Super aloof, a little naive, doesn't really get into it.
I like that a little naive. I wish
I do too, man. I love him.
Yeah, I'm saying the naive comment is great because
you should you just spend some time with him. You get it's like he's just a kid.
Right.
He literally is just a kid.
Immature.
Like a nightmare.
He's built like a man, but he's dad's
not small either. So.
No, Dave's a big guy.
Yeah.
Mom is salt to the earth. But let me ask you this about this group coming. So as you're watching what's going to happen with this upcoming season and all the offers, and it's been well documented, who do you think needs to dial in the most to still handle, not individual player, but individual, maybe you go teams. Who needs to dial in the most to kind of have the season to build off what the recruiting trail has been leading into their senior season?
Bellevue West.
You want to think
like all three of them, or
like he did?
No, I think they do. I think defensive coordinator change over there.
He seems like a great guy for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, 7-on-7.
I like talking to him.
7-on-7 stuff is different, right? But let's see the results when it's can I say nut cutting time?
Yeah.
When it's time for that, let's see it, right? Because it's been okay. It's been a couple years, like 3 since what was it, 18, 19 since they won a title, and they've had all that talent, right? So, and now the conversation around that is, oh, they're not, living up to the talent kind of thing. So I know that Coach Huffman feels great about his team this year. I know he feels great about the line coming back and all that, but let's see. Let's just that. I think that's the one team, right? Like they just all the recruiting hype and all that stuff. And I'm not knocking those kids. I think Danny Kaline's great. I think Davon's great. Isaiah's good. Like all that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is when it comes time for November, the second weekend November, where are you at? Right.
Rapid fire here, just a couple before let me just sneak these in.
Go for it.
Bigger chip on the shoulder that will be a good team. Millard North or Millard South?
Ooh. Well, Millard South lives with they just live with the chip for some reason. There's a chip on their shoulder for something. I don't know. There's always a chip, but I do think Millard North is going to be sneaky good. Like win a playoff game. I am on record. Like I think they're not getting talked about near enough. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they literally could be a quarterfinal team.
More of a dark horse that's going to be dangerous in November. Gretna or Elkhorn South?
Ooh. Well, I think Elkhorn South's probably going to be top 5-ish, so probably Gretna.
I know, but you hear the talk. Oh, Bellevue West and West Side. I'm like,
Elkhorn South's pretty. Carson Rauner kid's pretty good at quarterback too.
Oh, there's no question. They'll be top 5.
Yeah, I think they're top 5. I do think Gretna by the time they'll get it figured out. They got guys. Joey Veith is good. I saw them.
I saw him Saturday. I had to give him a hug. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, healthy.
Good to see him healthy.
Yeah, and Will Coxon he's not Zane. He'll be fine though. Like he's just got a lot to live up to there.
Last one. Let me sneak this a bit before you go, Andrew. Sneakier expectations with the sport. Kearney's football team or Kearney's basketball team?
Kearney's football team.
I think they're going to be good too.
I think they're going to be good, but the expectations, like I think both would be pretty. Kearney's always Coach Cool is so good.
Oh
so
yeah.
If people knew if people actually knew the times that Brandon Cool and Jeff Tomlin have been called for head coaching jobs in like Omaha and Lincoln, it's a lot.
Coach Cool and I sat and talked Bellevue West offense. The 2 coaches that coached against him just sat and talked Bellevue West offense. Got a coaching clinic last year in Kansas City. And I kind of walked away because we talked about some other things too. And I left and I was like, yeah, that's that guy that won a state title at like 28 years old. How old he was when they won it. And they're like, he's just, and people don't realize he's been there as long as he has because he's still a relatively young guy. He's just really, really good.
Coach Cool was my JV football coach my sophomore year of high school at Sutherland High School in Sutherland, Nebraska. He was the JV coach.
And that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to ask, because my brain's all over the place, because I'm thinking through the recruiting list, especially in-state for football. And, is there anybody in this class that you would describe as a star or an impressive get for the program? Because now people are probably like, oh my gosh, Andrew Carter Nelson, because he was getting recruited by Georgia. And
he just was on record the other day saying, listen, it's going to probably take me a year to play. And I think everybody else thinks that, except some of the recruitniks.
So whether it's in-state or whether it's an out-of-state guy in the 24s right now, is there anybody that you describe as a star or an impressive get? Like if other programs were looking in like, man, we missed on this.
Like a guy like Lofton?
Or even Ja'Cory Barney?
Oh, anybody. Okay.
But if we're going in-state, yeah. Like, I don't know.
Because I think we're forgetting about Lofton in the 2025s.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant 24, but 24 I was going to go Tanner Hollinger, but
just the 4th. Is he the 4th or the 5th tight end?
4th.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You've liked him for a while though.
Yeah. I would say him, and then probably Lofton's probably the guy it's to be determined, right? Like the guy that the misses, I guess, would be Hollinger, but like a guy that's going to be a star, I think is going to be really, really good. If stars align and things kind of can figure out, I think Isaiah McMorris has a chance in that offense to be pretty good. He's just shifty.
I like an under the radar guy that has only got, I think, one Division I offer. Yeah, keep an eye on Keenan Cotton.
Oh, that's 25. I'm talking 24. Yeah. Keenan Cotton. No, Keenan, just the speed alone won, and he's pretty tough. He's not like track
smart kid, man.
He's not track tough. He's football tough.
People don't even talk about him in our offense. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's gonna it's Jalen Lloyd 2.0, but not quite as tall,
and a lot more polished.
Yeah, route runner and stuff like that. Yeah. Started as a freshman at corner for when he was at Papillion. I mean, he's played a lot. He's a good player. I was gonna say something about some stuff, but
go ahead.
I was gonna soapbox for a minute.
Go ahead.
Soap it.
So I don't know why parents and athletes and stuff get down the rabbit hole and totally buy into, like, I'm going back to basketball here, buy into the my standout performers of the day, list the name of kids, and that's it. There's no context behind why.
Okay.
Because I have, like, I see it all the time, and it's like, but tell me why they were. Tell me why this person was. Same thing, like, you can do it with football and everything. Like, tell me why. Give me the guts behind why, like, you're saying this kid is this or that or whatever. Or if you don't have the expertise to do it, then probably just stay away from doing it. So, or just maybe, like, add some words, couple words. Just don't make up stuff, though. Like, don't make up different jargon that doesn't make sense to anybody. Like,
the amazing Daniel said, "Soapbox and or irritated Sautter is my favorite Sautter."
I'm feeling great today.
He's everybody's favorite Sautter.
Sautter,
you almost made a whole segment without being petty, man. I'm proud of you.
that was just one thing that just I see a lot, and I'm like, get out of here.
All right, Sautter, enjoy your trip. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Hey, trivia up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. and Benning. We'll be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
You know what I like to do before I purchase a ticket somewhere, especially to a sporting event? I like to look up the promotional schedule and figure out, hey, what's in it for me outside of just baseball when I get there. So when looking through the Omaha Storm Chasers promotional schedule, they play the Indianapolis Indians July 14th through the 16th. And I'm like scrolling through and I'm like, okay, what intrigues me? Is it this? Is it that? And I'm like, I don't really know. But then you see like Christmas in July and I'm like, oh, Christmas in July. I love Christmas. What's Christmas in July? And it's like, well, you get pictures of Santa, ornament decorating, festive lights. I'm like, that'd be cool to like look at, but like, am I getting something out of that? Like at the jersey giveaway night, for example, Shane, like I got something out of that.
Yes, you did.
And I got to bring that back. And
yes,
everybody
that'll be a lifetime something out of it for you.
Oh yeah. Everybody got to celebrate how they didn't have a jersey and I did. Because we wear jerseys. But then I look a little bit further ahead, like maybe on July 21st. There's a bobblehead giveaway. You know, our good friend Vinny P. bobblehead giveaway night. That is that Friday. And then, you know, fireworks on Fridays too. So if you're looking to attend a Storm Chasers game, I recommend you do it kind of like I do it. Like, look at the promotional schedule and see what you can get out of your experience while you're there. Shane, you're in for trivia. We did not have a caller, but if we get somebody to step in, you know, a little bit ways through, we can catch them through, or we can pair them up with you and you can play for them. So 3 questions, Shane, then a tiebreaker. You know the drill. You get the choices. DB does not. You ready to go?
All right, let's do it.
Question numero uno. Hey, Shane, who was the last player to be crowned Wimbledon Gentlemen's Singles Champion? So it's just the Wimbledon champion. Before Djokovic won 4 in a row. Was it Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, or Andy Murray?
I'll go B.
You're going with Nadal?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 2. In 1962, Shane, you were born then, right?
No, not at all.
Nebraska won its first bowl game against Miami, 36-34.
Okay.
Which bowl game was it? Was it the Cotton Bowl, the Gotham Bowl, or the Rose Bowl?
I'm going to go Cotton Bowl.
And question number 3, currently a top 10 team in baseball, Major League Baseball. Who is the only MLB team to never host an All-Star game? Is it the Cincinnati Reds, the Tampa Bay Rays, or the Texas Rangers? And your tiebreaker question, Shane. Vlad Guerrero Jr. set a single-round home run record at the 2019 Home Run Derby event. How many homers did he hit in that round?
Did I get a Hail Mary?
No, because this is just closest to. So
closest to, but I don't get a.
You don't get a range.
I don't get a 10 mark.
Nope.
Some sorts.
Nope. You don't get.
So once. Okay. Do the question again.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. set a new single-round home run record at the 2019 event. How many homers did he hit in that round? One round.
What is the average?
No, I don't know. But they're hitting home runs now.
Yeah, I know. They're hitting home runs.
And it seems like each round kind of gets longer. So it's not like it used to be where you got 10 pitches.
Right.
God, I don't know. Or 10 outs, technically.
Maybe it was like 23 or something.
Okay, Shane says 23.
All right, I'll go get Damon.
Thank you. You don't seem overly confident, though, Shane.
No, I'm going to go get Damon. I'm pretty confident that's what I'm going to
do. He's confident he'll go get the man in the other chair. How do you think Shane did? Let us know in the comments via StreamYard. You know what's funny, though, is with the rain and everything that goes along with it, we lost internet connection here. So if you see us on StreamYard and we're frozen, that's probably why. But we can attribute that to the weather. The TVs are back up, though, so I'm curious if it's just our connector, our router. DB is back. What's up, my guy?
I was talking to my mom. She said she lost power.
Well, we actually lost internet halfway through trivia.
Oh, we good?
I'm going to refresh StreamYard. We'll see.
Are we good?
It says it's entering.
You in a good mood or what?
Yeah, I'm in a good mood, Coach.
Good.
You feeling confident?
No, I don't know. What's the theme?
Oh, man. It's kind of all over the place.
Oh, yeah, well.
I'm pretty sure I got 4 out of 4.
I do feel good it's not Ray.
So that's a good.
I mean,
that's at least a plus.
No disrespect to Shane Schillerberg.
All right, you ready to go, DB?
I am. A little worried about my mom, but it's okay. She said it's only been 20 minutes.
We'll go over there with flashlights.
I told her, hey, come scooper. Go ahead.
Who won? Let me restart because words are hard.
Well, Shane has to read too. Have you ever heard him?
Who was the last player to be crowned Wimbledon Gentlemen's Singles Champion before Djokovic won 4 in a row? And he's won the last 4.
Federer.
Question number 2. In 1962, Nebraska won its first bowl game against Miami, 36-34. Which bowl game was it?
The Dark Knight Bowl. Gotham.
Question number 3. Currently a top 10 team in baseball, who is the only Major League Baseball team to never host an All-Star game?
Let's go with the team where their own home fans don't go. Let's go Tampa.
And the tiebreaker question, Vlad Guerrero Jr. set a new single-round home run record at the 2019 Derby event. How many homers did he hit in that round?
You're going to need this tiebreaker.
Is this the tiebreaker?
It is.
Yeah, so you got to pretty much nail this right.
Like in the round? Well, I know he hit
in the round. It's the one round, right? It's a single round home run record.
You got to nail this. Pressure's on.
He hits. How many rounds are there?
3? 2?
Well, see, now I didn't get that.
So it's got to be something. It's a division. It's by 3. So let's go. He hit 90. 3 rounds. By 3 is 30. Let's go. Come on. Let's go 28.
Thank you, DB. I actually don't know the answer to that question.
Let's go 28.
I know the answer to the question I asked. I meant the one that you said, how many rounds are there?
I think there's 3.
Okay.
So I just did what I think he hit, 90 by 3, and picked a number close. So I picked 28.
All right, here we go. Let's run through them. Question number 1. Who was the last player to be crowned Wimbledon Gentlemen's Singles Champ before Djokovic won 4
this was the easiest
in
of the
a
bunch.
row? Was it Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, or Andy Murray? DB said Federer. Shane, you said Nadal. The answer is Federer.
Well, that's what I said.
No, you said B.
Hey, you need to.
Oh, shoot.
Question number 2. In 1962, Nebraska won its first bowl game against Miami 36-34. 34. Which one was it? Was it the Cotton Bowl, the Dark Knight Bowl, the Gotham Bowl, as DB had said, or the Rose Bowl? Shane, you said the Cotton Bowl, and you are incorrect. It is the Gotham Bowl. DB takes 2, and that gives him the win, but we'll just do the other 2 for fun. Currently a top 10 team in baseball, who is the only Major League Baseball team to never host an all-star game, which I'm shocked DB didn't use his Hail Mary this week, but I was impressed because he just thought
you didn't let me use my Hail Mary.
Yeah, he gets the answer choices.
Oh, okay.
Every question.
So you get the 3?
He gets 3 Hail Marys.
Sometimes, though, that's harder. But, okay, I get it.
Is it the Cincinnati Reds, the Tampa Bay Rays, or the Texas Rangers? Shane, you said the Rangers. DB, you said the Rays. The only team that hasn't hosted is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, nobody goes to the Trop.
And our
Apparently
final
not.
tiebreaker question, Vlad Guerrero Jr. set a new single-round home run record at the 2019 event. How many did he hit in that round? Shane said 23.
I asked for a Hail Mary, and you didn't give it to me.
No, even if I gave you the 10 range, you wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, I would have gotten it.
DB
I wouldn't have
said
chose
28.
that. If you would have gave me, if you
All
would
right.
have said there was 3 rounds, I would have said, oh, well, that makes sense there. I could have said, well, I'm going to say about 32. So what's the answer?
The answer is 40.
No.
He
Really?
hit 40 in one round.
That is
That's
unbelievable.
what that is, man. I'm
How
telling
many
you.
did he hit for the deal?
It was something like in the 90s.
90s?
Yeah,
He hit 40 in a round?
40 in a round. So, and this is just for perspective. Vlad, here's the top 4. Vlad hit 40. Jock Peterson hit 39.
I should have known because they went back and forth.
Pete Alonso hit 35, and Julio Rodriguez hit 32. That's the top 4 most home runs in a single round at the Derby.
Dude, this just popped up. Look at this. Breaking news.
Yep, I saw that when you
Northwestern
walked away.
suspends football coach
2
Pat
games.
Fitzgerald.
Or 2 weeks.
Is that it?
Effective
2
immediately.
weeks pay. Oh, okay.
Following an investigation into hazing.
Hazing? I don't want to downplay it, but what the?
Matt Vrzal up next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at, telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
As we do every Friday, we wind it down with Matt Vrzal, former Husker and Pison's Pizzeria owner at Verz51 on Twitter. Matt, good morning.
Morning, boys.
Matty, what's up, buddy? Good morning to you.
I'm just sitting here in the truck in the rain and thinking how happy all the farmers are.
Yeah, isn't that something? Like I said that this morning. I hope it rains like for a long, long time because I don't want to be. And you're directly affected too, right? Cost and all that. Like we need things to. You like balance, right? We need things to kind of stay in order.
Yeah, I mean to an extent. It's. Don't get me wrong. I mean I don't want like 4 days of rain.
Hey, how have food costs been for you? Because we were talking about like a jug of milk at the store that DB was showing Micah the other day that was $7.99. Just in for you and your restaurant, how have food costs been?
It's there. We're the front end of like everybody. You know, it's the only people it doesn't really bug are corporate, and they'll bitch about it, but it doesn't affect them nearly as much as like the little guy. But you have to be. They've gone up with everything, but everything's gone up. So we're headed toward an inflationary time. But yeah, it's just the ups and downs of it. You deal with it. That's why I just try to average out the cost throughout the year. That way I'm not too upset when it's up, and I'm not too upset when it's down.
Yeah, because I can't remember what exactly you told me the other day about like working ahead, going to get stuff. But can't say it on there. But like staying ahead. How much does like your experience though? Like you'll buy bulk, you'll use your vendors. Like you kind of know. You were like prepping food for. I didn't believe the number of how long you're going to let stuff brine, but like you're like a couple of months always ahead, aren't you?
Yeah, you have to be, and that's not inventing the wheel or being, visionary. In restaurant, when you've done it for long enough, when you're getting into about May, June, July are very close. That's outdoor season. That's grill season. So then the capitalists that produce the meat and things know that they can jack those prices up because you're not going to your grill out without hamburger. So no, we just buy up. It's a luxury to have a big freezer. So we just buy a few 100 pounds and chuck it in there and call it a day.
I appreciate you letting me out of that one the other day too. It's almost going to make me mad, but I'm glad you lightened up off the door.
Well, technically, with everybody doing these cold plunges, I just gave you a free treatment. So you now owe me money the next time you go in there.
Just a consultation, nothing more.
So yeah, I'm like, what is
a free one? That was a free one to get you addicted. Next time, I'm going to shoot you with a water hose and then chuck you in there.
Dude, I think the number on the outside, and I don't know the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit. I have to think about it for a second, but I think it said 7.
Yeah, it's at -2.
Dude, that like. Come on, man. Like that's not fun in there. I don't know why you think that's cute, but it's cold.
I'll go stand in there for like 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah, but you were like busting your behind out where it's hot too. So I mean, maybe that's fine, but I don't. Yeah, that's not cool, man. Like we gotta figure that out.
I'll go in there for 5 minutes in the winter too. I like being cold. I don't like being.
I was telling Andrew we're into this continuity deal, and NCAA's got a Twitter account and now offensive line and return starts and all that stuff starting to happen, right? Phil Steele comes out, returning units. For you, do you ever weigh the risk of? Are you one of those guys? Severe used to always tell me this. I'd say, oh, they have X amount of guys back, and then sometimes he'd say, well, they weren't very good. Like, do you want them back? Or like so there's that kind of that give and take too, your experience versus if you're just not capable to begin with. How much stock do you put into continuity?
That's a good question, Damon. I think your continuity, it evolves every year. I think you can have a good basis to start, right? I think you can have a good ground to jump off of. A lot of times that's done with success. It kind of breeds that winning environment, winning culture. So I think if you have a good foundation to build on, now I'm with Severe a little bit. You got to have some success on the field to get that done. But you can build that continuity and camaraderie like through physical pain, like working out hard together. So, which I think Coach Campbell has done a good job of.
Hey, isn't he something?
His voice is awesome. Like if you have like prototypical weight room coach guy that's just jacked, like properly jacked.
Yeah.
He just, the way he talks, how you doing? I was like, oh, really?
And he can't be but like 5'8", but he is jacked.
Hey man, I gotta leave real quick. I gotta go make some bets. I don't want to be on the facility grounds when I make these bets, but I'm betting all.
Wait, what? I'm confused.
Just hearing the strength of, how good a team will be when you hear the strength coach operate.
Yeah. Oh, I got you.
Okay.
I got you. I was like, wait a minute.
I thought that was
I think he's going to hang up on us.
He spoke, and I was like, yep, here we go. All right. Get some futures in.
I just like how he, like the plans. And like those guys were whining like the first month or so being around him. And Coach Rule said something like, man, he's gonna love you hard, but he's gonna train you harder, right? It's or something to that effect. And I was like, it just brought me back to no pains, no gains, right? Like it just can't be some walk in the, hey man, you going to lift today? Yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Like it just can't be like that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. You should have a love-hate relationship with the strength staff. If all you have is a love relationship with them, it's bad. If all you have is a hate relationship with them, it's bad. That's it. And it's like that circuit rolled out, and we were all just like, okay, this is like they're trying to kill us. They are trying to, this is how they're going to thin the roster. They're going to kill people. And you would get done with that thing, and then once you figured out you could survive, you're like, man, I am a dude. Like, I can do this. And then now that strength staff has built you up to be better than you thought you could be, which is their job.
Verz, we hear a lot from the new recruits about just a lot of positivity when talking about the new staff in its entirety, not just the coaches, but the directors of player development and things like that. And as we talked about with the strength coach there too, is that the new normal of what we can expect from a reactionary point of view about this new group at Nebraska? Or is the hype normally this real, but it just feels different this time?
I think what you have is this with the staff is it's a been here, done that thing, right? They know that their system to do this will have success. And anybody knows when you're out and you feel good about what you're doing, you're going to be very confident in that. As I said a couple of weeks ago, football is a relationship business, okay? It does not matter X's and O's, 22 personnel, 47 personnel, the sweet
47. Hey, let's get in 47, baby. Let's go.
Whatever BS jargon buzzword the coaches want to come up to show you how big their brain is. It gets down to, does that player know that me as their coach, I care more about their success than my own, that I want them to be successful, maybe not even on the field, just in life. When that kid understands that, they will play hard and they will understand it. When you can convey that message in recruiting that quickly and people are absorbing that message, that's a big thing, right? Because you're that mom or that dad or that player is like, yeah, this guy really wants me to be awesome. And it isn't fluff, because we've all been sold something We've all been sold a bill of goods, right?
Yeah.
And we know what that feeling's like. Like, man, I think I could trust this guy. And they got a lot of bells and whistles over there. See, they ain't even selling the bells and whistles. They're not selling the new facility and the new thing. You're going to get the lab.
You know, it almost never comes up. That's funny you say that.
It shouldn't come up, because if you're basing the player coming there on that kind of stuff, that ain't your guy. You want a guy that's going to get there to work.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Man, I'm going to come here because they got this new practice facility. Come on, GTFO. Let's go. Beat it. Get guys that want to be great at life. Like, get guys that want to take constructive criticism in a loud manner and become better. If you're here for the facility or the swag or the alternate uniform, beat it. We got to get dudes who want to be great human beings and then in turn great football players. And if you shut your mouth and you do what we're telling you, it's going to work.
Hey, what'd you tell me? I won't say who we were talking about a couple weeks ago, but I think you said something like, it should have been on a T-shirt. You go, he seems like a guy that likes to just take pictures. Hey, put that on the T-shirt, Matty. You put everything else on there.
I don't know if that one's going to make the cut.
Yeah, all
You got
right.
too many Damon Betting shirts coming out.
Go great. Can't wait.
Verz, enjoy the weekend, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Be good, boys.
Thanks, buddy.
That is Matt
he's a trip.
Vrzal. A trip, a personality,
-2
a
degrees.
pizza expert.
Dude thinks it's cute to keep the door shut. Idiot.
You don't want to get stuck in the freezer?
No.
Nightmare of yours?
It is. Dude.
It was a short week, but it was a good one. We'll be back next week.